He is the head of the American Center for Law and Justice and the President's Counsel. Jay Sekulow is with us. All right. I don't only want one for this. I want one, on the dossier, Fusion GPS. He's meeting with them, Bruce Orr. His wife works for them, doing anti-Trump research in the lead up to the campaign. What about the fix being in with James Comey and Peter Strzok? Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, both anti-Trump, pro-Hillary. That would reopen the entire email investigation because they exonerated before they investigated. And then I'm not even talking about Uranium One and surveillance and unmasking, Jay. You know, how about all of this needs to be investigated?
Well, the last you mentioned is something, I mean, they're all serious, but the last one you mentioned, I mean, the idea that it may well be that this dossier put together by Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele and now Bruce Orr's wife, and Bruce Orr, of course, was fourth-ranking official at the Department of Justice, may serve as the basis upon which a FISA warrant was issued. Remember, that first time they went for that FISA warrant, it was turned down. Then they get it later. Was it based on this? And if it was based on this, I mean, you're talking about the fruit of the poisonous tree. I mean, this whole idea that this would somehow, you know, it could even exist within our system of justice, frankly, is astonishing.
But
Sean, you look at these interconnections, and this is really serious to the operation of justice. That's what's at stake here, the Constitution.
It's possible that Hillary Clinton's campaign, and she's controlling the DNC, according to Donna Brazile, that her bought and paid for Russian propaganda dossier with all the salacious details, that could have been used to issue a FISA warrant against candidate Trump, President-elect Trump, and his entire team. Now, legally speaking, if that happened, wouldn't that render any information that they received out of that under false pretenses?
Yeah, I mean,
any illegal pretenses?
Yes, I mean, if in fact, and there's a lot of chatter about this, if in fact the FISA warrants were issued based on this unverified, as James Comey said, salacious dossier, which we know there's no verification of any of it, it was nothing in it is correct. If that in fact was the basis upon which the FISA warrant was issued, well, then, of course, you have a constitutional issue, which is, can the evidence derived from that FISA warrant, which resulted in unmasking, be admissible? And I think the answer clearly would be no.
Okay, next question.
So it does raise a very, very serious specter of constitutional issues, criminal procedure issues. And I think it puts, look, this whole unmasking scandal is a scandal in and of itself. But to put it in perspective, if it was based on that dossier, what have we come to? What has the court system allowed itself to get to?
Do you agree with my analysis based on the May 2nd or early May draft by James Comey and then also edited by Peter Strzok, the anti-Trump guy that worked in the FBI that was involved in all these cases? Does that in any way, the fix being in before they investigated, even talk to Hillary or witnesses, that sounds to me like obstruction of justice by James
Comey. I mean, they granted immunity. I mean, they granted immunity to witnesses, and this exoneration letter was written before they interviewed the witnesses that were granted immunity. So go figure that out. I mean, what prosecutor does that? And then if you look at the actual, and we broke this out, Sean, if you look at what was drafted by James Comey and his draft, and that was edited by Peter Strzok and others, you look at things like, there was a big discussion. Remember, the whole basis upon which this whole email situation came to light was the fact that the server was not secured, that it was located in a townhouse in Colorado. In James Comey's original draft, when talking about the seriousness of this, he says, this is especially concerning because all of these emails were housed on servers not supported by full-time security staff like those found at the department and agencies of the United States government. That was omitted from the final report. He wrote it, and then someone took that out. And that was the basis upon which this whole matter started in the first place.
All right. Now, let me go back to our top story tonight. We now have John Solomon's explosive report. And what we're seeing is an intensity and financial rewards going up and up and up starting in October. We're at, first 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. Then we get to 2 days before the election, $750,000 that we don't know where the money came from, but being offered to a woman in exchange for her, quote, story about Donald Trump. If that story can come out, I doubt we would have known it was paid for because we didn't know that anybody was being paid up until today. you got to help me through this, what that would mean in terms of trying to influence the American people 48 hours before they go to the polls.
Well, look, I mean, if you look at the entire situation, you put all of this into context, what was taking place here? These were, look, campaigns are rough business. Everybody understands that. But what you had going on in John Solomon's piece in The Hill is this escalating value of these stories as the election gets closer. And then the de-escalation of that value when the election is over. And if you look at some of the train of emails that's cited in there, you see how this goes. And it was interesting. The person that was offered the $750,000, as John reported, didn't take the money and did not participate at all in this.
Yeah, but you think about it. We have phony Russian lies, salacious lies. They're paid for by Hillary Clinton. Russian connection, collusion, if you will. Now you have 2 days before the election, a massive sum of money for somebody to make an accusation that can't possibly be vetted in that period of time.
Well, because what you have is, Sean, and this is, you look at the whole process. You talk about the need for a special counsel. Look at all of this that's going on. And then you go back to the Department of Justice itself and the FBI. And like you, I have tremendous respect for the agents that put their lives on the line for us every single day, defending this country, defending our liberty, defending our freedom. But I'll tell you what I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate a Department of Justice that not only had determined the case before the evidence came in, but was completely, and it's become very clear here, conflicted on multiple levels. And that is not, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, no one in our constitutional republic should take that as okay. It's not okay. And I think Chris Wray's got a big job to do, the head of the FBI. This is, by the way, you know, we talk about the deep state. You don't have to dig so deep for this. This is right at the surface. These are leadership issues. And I was glad to see that General Sessions today said that they're taking this issue seriously of a special counsel. There was a reason I said it, and that was all, but you know what? There's a process they go through. They need to go through that process in evaluating a special counsel.
Jay Sekulow, thank you for being with us.